The conversation continues on Houston's Morning News with Matt Patrick.
KTRH News Time is 6:47. Joining us right now is Corey Saylor. He's with the Council on American Islamic Relations, CAIR. He's the National Legislative Director. Corey, welcome to Houston's Morning News.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Corey. All right, so you guys kind of like Ron Paul for president. I guess I can understand why. I've listened to his foreign policy ideas. I think he's certainly off the rails. I like a lot of what Ron Paul says, but when he gets into foreign policy, we part ways. Is this why you do like him? Because he kind of thinks the United States started all the trouble that we have?
Well, let me just be clear that we're not endorsing him. Our organization doesn't endorse candidates. But when we looked at it, a lot of Muslims do support Ron Paul. Actually, in our community, we also divided over foreign policy. It's more around the civil liberties that we see Muslims really rallying around him. He's been very strong on a number of positions, civil liberties-wise, that Muslims support.
Give me an example of his thoughts on civil liberties that you line up with. Can you give me a specific example?
Sure. He opposes the enormous expansion of law enforcement powers under the Patriot Act, which I think a lot of Muslims support strongly. Also, during a debate, one of the Republican debates, Rick Santorum actually talked about profiling Muslims and singling us out, and Ron Paul was very strong in opposing that.
So you don't believe that we should look at the Muslim community, even though the radical faction of the Muslim religion are the ones that are blowing up airplanes and killing Americans. You don't think we should pay any attention to that?
Well, I think there are a number of radical factions out there that want to kill Americans. Timothy McVeigh came from a radical faction that wanted to kill Americans. So I think we need to look at the people who are...
Timothy McVeigh was just crazy. I mean, Timothy McVeigh was just a crazy man. I'm talking about,
Rudolph, the Atlanta bomber, came from the Christian identity movement. So we need to be looking at people who are working toward committing crimes.
So if we're talking about the folks that flew airplanes into buildings, those that are praying to Allah before they blow themselves up, we should just kind of ignore all that?
I didn't say that at all. I said I think we need to look at people who are actually undertaking criminal behavior. Criminal behavior is those kind of things like beginning to listen to extremist speeches, going out and beginning to make plans, surveil places. But if you're just going to look at an entire swathing community, that's absolutely wrong. That's not the way to go about it. It's a waste of law enforcement resources.
Corey, let me ask you this, and I appreciate your time this morning. If Congressman Paul is not the GOP nominee, and I think that is probably likely that he won't be, would you be able to get behind any of the others, possibly a Mitt Romney or a Santorum?
Well, again, let me just remind you that CAIR does not endorse candidates. But my understanding so far is that the Muslim community will likely go behind President Obama again. The community has been trending very strongly Democratic over the last few elections, and I don't see that trend reversing. It's just that among the Republican pack, Ron Paul is the one that most Muslims seem to be willing to support.
All right, Corey, I thank you for coming on with us this morning. Corey Saylor from CAIR.